This reading is from a Christmas prayer by Marianne Williamson. She's a pastor in a large church in Detroit. The story of Christmas began with a visit from angels announcing that God's love would be born on earth. It is the story of the life of Jesus 2,000 years ago. It is also the story of a love that lies within each of us. Each of us, in a way, is visited by angels every time we have a loving thought. Angels are the voices of faith and peace and forgiveness, sent by God to illuminate our way. Let your voice be heard, and let your love shine forth during this magical time of year.
Our next reading is The Invitation by Teresa Schwartz. We know the story. An angel of the Lord appeared to the shepherds. The glory of the Lord shone around them. A great light descends on dark fields. Happy angels and cherubim sing for joy, play their lutes, and dance about to defy the gravity of earthly cares. In our happy Christmas narratives, we can forget the shepherds were afraid. What is this fear of God? In my Sunday school lessons, God was a warm, fuzzy old man, replete with gray beard. Jesus loved me because the Bible told me so. And I glued cotton balls on stiff construction paper to make sheep for the Good Shepherd. As a small child, I secretly opened the Bible and I read. It didn't take long to find God and fear mingled together in the same lines. I didn't understand, but I knew it wasn't about fluffy lambs or grandfatherly gods. In the Hebrew scriptures, the fear of God is an active obedience to the divine will. But I think it's also a shaking of body and soul, awe at something wholly other. Something catches, my heartbeat quickens, and I shake, even a little, at the thought of those strange glimpses that brought me to my knees. The numinous is a mystery that terrifies and fascinates. We are tempted to reduce the whole of the Christmas story to a kinder, gentler God, somewhat akin to the jolly and portly fellow in the red suit. We wrap our seasonal theology neatly with a red bow. But what we have here are terrifying and fascinating dreams and apparitions, enough to make you lay down your work and follow your vision. That's what the shepherds did. They ran from that place in search of the strange, the holy. What star are we waiting for to lay down our labors and follow a vision? A strange vision? A frightening glory? Peculiar and unfamiliar fancies that we would risk losing the labors of our day to a brilliant, crazed moment in the night? Could we hear the bizarre voices at all? Or are we too busy tending our sheep to see the hand of God in the strange turns of our lives? The shepherds ran, leaving their sheep. And the one they ran to would tell the fishermen to lay down their nets and leave their fish. Run to be fishers of men and women and dreams. For a moment, follow the dream, the hope despite your shaking. Receive the annual invitation. Face the awesome vision. Lay down your labors. Abandon all reason. For now, once again, God is with us, and we can risk our daytime sensibilities for strange dreams and fearful fascinations. Run across the muddy, cold fields.
Our next carol is Angels We Have Heard on High, number 231 in your books. We're going to sing all the verses just so you can stand up a little longer.
continuing from Luke. And so they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what had been told to them about this child. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured all those words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, as it had been told to them.
They had been at war for 5 months. Men sent by their nation to battle men from other nations dug into trenches that were typically about 7 feet deep and 6 feet wide. The men were separated from the other side, the enemy, who was trying to kill them, by an area called No Man's Land. This area was dangerous for anyone to enter because the likelihood of being shot or hit by artillery was high. The time was World War I, and the major nations of the world had descended into fear and war with the death of Archduke Ferdinand. And then Christmas arrived. In various places across the line, German soldiers came into No Man's Land, and they came unarmed. Imagine that. These men had been firing weapons at one another, had been dying at the hands of each other. And yet, with hope in their hearts, the soldiers put down their weapons and walked into No Man's Land singing. On each part of the front where this occurred, the Germans were shouting Merry Christmas in the language of the forces they were fighting. They were singing carols. The Allies weren't sure if this was some kind of trick. But time after time, they too took the risk. They put down their weapons and hoped for something different. The Christmas truce was born. Without direction from their commanders, without direction from their countries, they embraced hope and spent one night singing carols and exchanging gifts, and at least in one place, playing soccer in No Man's Land. The world turned upside down. It was the power of hope. It was the story of a small child being born in a manger to a teenage girl, his parents refugees. It was this story, the hope born in that baby, that stopped a war. Every war that has ended has done so because of hope, because there were people who worked and who hoped for change. May we never doubt the power of a story. May we never doubt the power of hope born into our children.
In a far land upon a day where never snow did fall, 3 kings went riding on the way, bearing presents all. And one wore red, and one wore gold, and one was clad in green. And one was old, and one was young, and one was in between. The middle one had a human sense, the young one had loving eyes, the old had much experience, and all of them were wise. Choosing the guide by Eve and Mom of heaven's starry drifts, they rode to find the newly born for whom they carried gifts. Oh, far away in time they rode upon their wandering, and still in story goes abroad the riding of the kings. So wise that in their chosen hour as though the world they filed. They sought not wealth or palace or power, but rode to find a child.
I would like to invite the children and anyone who wants to know what's in my mysterious red bag to come forward. But you're already kind of here. Anyone else? Y'all are going to be curious from afar? So today we are celebrating a birthday. So what happens when you have a birthday? What do you get? Christmas. Christmas is a birthday. Yeah, so we're celebrating a birthday on Christmas. What happens when people have a birthday? Do people bring you things? Yeah? Do you like what they bring you? Presents. You all can help as well. So this story that we're celebrating today is a story where 3 wise men were bringing a little baby presents. What do you think they might have brought the baby? A baby doll? That's a good present for a baby. Yeah? What do you guys think? Diapers? That would be a good present for a baby's mom anyway. Anybody else? What are good presents for babies? Stuffed animals, right? Anything else? It's hard to think of presents when you're put on the spot. Wipes? Yeah, that goes with the diapers. Well, these wise men, they brought baby Jesus gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Does anybody know what frankincense and myrrh are? But hard to actually answer, isn't it? Well, this is what we have in our bag, is gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So I'm going to show it to you guys. And what's inside the gold is frankincense and myrrh. Can you smell that? Can you put it? So frankincense and myrrh were perfume, essentially. So what they wanted to do was honor the birth of this baby, which is part of why we give babies gifts and their moms gifts. We want to help them out and honor what it means have babies and bring them into the world because we know how important they are. So what we're going to do next in our service is we're going to have our offering, and we're all going to share gifts with one another. We're going to do the gifts of the congregation, and that means we're going to have a time where people can share some of their own treasure, just like these wise men gave some of their treasure to the baby. We are going to need a volunteer. We're going to give our offering away today. We're going to give our offering to people who are experiencing need. Does anybody want to volunteer to help Paul with the offering? Mike's going to volunteer to help. Do you guys want to help too? Can you help? Can you help Paul and Mike? Thank you. So in honor of these kings who came bearing gifts for a baby, I invite you to rise as you're willing and join us in carol number 259, We Three Kings of Orient Are. We're going to do the first verse. Falling asleep during an evening service is the up and down. That's the true reason.
The Queens Came Late by Norma Farber. The queens came late, but the queens were there with gifts in their hands and crowns in their hair. They'd come, these three, like kings from afar, following, yes, that guiding star. They left their ladies' linens, looms, their children playing in nursery rooms, and told their sitters, take charge, for this is a marvelous sight that we must not miss. The queens came late, but not too late to see the animals small and great, feathered and furred, domestic and wild, gathered to gaze at a mother and child. And rather than frankincense and myrrh and gold for the babe, they brought for her who held him a gold-spun gown of blue and chicken soup with noodles too, and a lingering, lasting cradle song. The queens came late and stayed not long, for their thoughts already were straining far, past manger and mother and guiding star and child aglow as a morning sun, toward home and children and chores undone.
Please join me in Joy to the World, which you can find on the screen or in your order of service.
This reading comes from the writings of Dr. Kendall R. Gibbons, who is a pastor in a UU church in Kansas City. Christmas is subversive. One of the great things about Christmas is that it is a sturdy holiday. Christmas does not wimp out when times are hard. It comes anyway, even if there are hardly any presents, even when there isn't much food to make a feast with, even if you're sad, even if the world around you is at war, even if you are living in fear and danger and oppression, Christmas still comes. And when it comes, Christmas is subversive. Christmas, with its story of an unwedded mother and a doubtful father, with its legend of a helpless baby born in a stable who is worshipped by some of the wisest and richest men in the world, with its tale of the child pursued by the deadly wrath of kings who escaped as a refugee to a foreign land far from home. Christmas, with its ancient, enduring summons of peace on earth, goodwill to all people everywhere. You can't stop a day like that with a little hardship or greed or injustice. It will show up anyway, shining the light of a midnight star into the darkest places of our collective lives. Do not underestimate the power of the manger and the hope it holds. The Christmas song of the angels is not as innocent as it sounds. It has turned the world upside down before now. It still can.
After the Stores Have Closed by Ed Searle. After the stores have closed and the final presents have been wrapped, beyond the ding, ding, ding of Salvation Army handbells, beyond the steady, efficient computer click of cash registers, beyond the sometimes gay, sometimes reverent drone of Christmas music, there will come the deep silence of Christmas Eve. It is the thoughtful silence of watching and waiting, the silence of winter's longest night. You will look into the star-pocked dome of infinity and shiver compulsively. Yet your heartbeat will give such wonderful comfort that a feeling of utter holiness becomes an unuttered prayer. At that moment, you will know why the shepherds who kept watch through the night heard the hosannas of a heavenly host.
As we move into our more contemplative part of the service, I invite you to take a deep breath. And we're going to have a couple minutes of silent prayer and meditation. During that time, anyone who wishes is invited to come forward and silently light a candle for a personal joy or a sorrow from our flaming chalice. If you would like a candle to be lit but don't feel like you can come forward for any reason, please raise your hand and I can light it for you. We light this final candle for Chris and Isaac and all of the spirits who are here with us tonight. Does everybody have their candle for the candle lighting? And if you have a candle but would rather have an electronic candle, please raise your hand. Paul has several of the little electronic candles. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to come and I'm going to light the ends, the people on the ends. And when you light a candle, the person who is holding the unlit candle is the one to tilt it. Got it? Okay. Then when we're done, we'll sing Silent Night together. Logistics are important. To Silent Night, which will be up on your screen. Please stand. You're going to get a clue in here as to when to extinguish the candles. When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, when all the candles have been extinguished, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild nations, to bring peace among the people, to make music in the hearts. Please join me in our unison closing song, which will be up on the screen or over here.